Good morning, YouTubers.
Well done, Matt.
Good morning, guys. So we have left and we are heading to Liswerry this morning to run the 8-mile race. It's my first ever time running and racing an 8-mile race. So the only good thing about today is if I complete the course, then I'm going to get a 8-mile PB. So very tired this morning. It's dark. We're coming up to 10 to 7 now, and it's really dark outside. It's cold, it's miserable, it's wet. So it's not an ideal morning to be getting up early. So this morning I had porridge for my fuel for breakfast for the race. I've had electrolytes, a pint of water first thing as I got up. I won't drink hardly any water now up until the race, especially because it's an 8-mile race. The last thing I want is to get a stitch. From this summer just gone, I had a lot of stitches, so working out what was best for me was to, as soon as I wake up, or at least 3 hours before the race, that's when I need to take on enough fuel, enough fluid, and then that would be enough for me to get around with enough energy on the course. So yeah, so I won't eat anything or drink anything now up until the race. I'll have a little sip of water before we get onto the start line. This morning will make an effect on how much I drink, and you don't want too much in your stomach. As it's an 8-mile race, and I've never run 8 miles before. I've done a few 10Ks the previous year, so that was the first time really for me running 10Ks. And I've done 2 half marathons. The first one just deciding I was going to do it the day before, so that doesn't really count. And then last year I took on the Cardiff half marathon, so I have got an ideal pace. I like to run the 13 miles, and I kind of know my pace for the 10K. So when I'm running a 10K, it's about 3:17 per K, and then I go under 33 minutes. And then for half marathon, I'm running about 3. I was very consistent in Cardiff, actually, running 3:27 for averaging to 3:27 for every K. So I think today, considering it's only an extra 2 miles after the 6-mile race, I think I am looking at running more towards a 10K pace race, really. So I don't, because I've been ill all week, even though I'm feeling okay this morning, and I have been the last 2 days. I haven't really been coughing. I think the only thing which will play effect is having a week off and not doing any exercise. So I did a little 30-minute run yesterday and a 40-minute run the day before, but other than that, for over a week I haven't done any training due to having a cold and a cough. So I think that might be the only the factor which might make an effect today. So I'd like to go out and run roughly around 3:20 per kilometre. Is that doable? Yes, I think that is doable. But also the weather today I think it's like 7 degrees, feels like 3, so it's very cold. So when I warm up, I'm going to decide if I want to put on an extra t-shirt underneath my vest and wear some gloves if it's that cold. I might wear gloves, maybe not the t-shirt. And the wind goes up to 23, so that's pretty high. So I think it will be a tuck-in job. I know a few guys doing this race who who normally I do beat in the 10Ks and half marathons, but because I'm coming back this week after illness, I think I might just try and sit behind them rather than trying to always push the pace, and then if I feel comfortable in the last couple of miles, maybe push on. I think that's probably the best race tactics for me. Who knows, we might get going and I might feel great, and I might want to push on, but I know the guys who I normally compete with are pretty strong anyway, so I think I'll be with them for the first 5 to 6, well, yeah, for 5 miles anyway, but then we'll just have to see how strong I am in the last 3 miles. Obviously never done an 8-mile race, so am I going to feel strong after the 6? I think I will, because when I from the last couple of 10Ks I've done, I have from after 4 miles, that's when I start to drop the people I'm surrounded by. So I think when I cross the 6-mile finish line, I still feel like I've got a lot of beans left, so I think I will be. I think an 8-mile race actually suits me. Obviously I've never done it, but it's just going off feel and my previous races, so I do feel like I'm going to be pretty strong running this 8-mile race, and I'm pretty excited to see what time I'm going to come out with. What would I like? I think if I run my best performance, I think I'm going to be really close to 42 minutes. If not, I think if I do 43, happy days, maybe a bit slower, then we might come away with 44 minutes. But I'd like to think I get under 33. Obviously, if the wins are 23, then it might be a lot harder than expected. But if we're going to tuck in and then get a good group going, then who knows, we still might be able to bang out some fast times. So yeah, that's this morning. Probably see me doing a few drills next and warming up, and then before you know it, it'll be 9 a.m. It's a 9 a.m. start, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. It's 7 o'clock now and it's still dark, which is quite ironic because I was watching one of my holiday YouTube runs yesterday, and the park runs in Australia start at 6 and 7 a.m. and it's absolutely beautiful. So good old UK weather. And into the finish then.
That's it. Where is he? He's on signage with Paul. Oh, Paul's on. External moderation page.
Just completed Liswerry 8-mile race. Really good run, and I'm about to explain to you guys what happened in the race. So warm up, feeling pretty good, pretty confident, even though I've had a week off and no training for over a week. But either way, I wasn't that bothered about that. I was a bit concerned on the factor that I hadn't trained, but health-wise I was feeling well. I've been coughing a little bit, but nothing too concerning. So did the warm-up, feeling pretty good. I was a bit concerned because the toilet is by the stadium, which is like a 10-minute walk away from the start, and I couldn't find any toilets at the start, so went for a toilet when we first arrived, but then I could have done with going just before the start as well, but luckily I got around the whole course and I survived the toilet, so that was pretty good. And then so I went off feeling like I went into this race with no pressure. Normally, when I'm doing a 5k, I'm like, I've got to get into sub 16. I've got to try and chase that PB. You know, I put a lot of pressure onto myself. But because I've never done an 8-mile race before, I felt like I had no pressure at all. It was just going to be a bit of fun, coming off being ill. So just enjoy the race and have a good run. If I needed to ease off, I could have eased off and just got around. But I went off. I let the race unfold at the start. So a few of the guys who I'm pretty competitive with in most races, they pushed on early, made quite a large gap between us. But I know I beat these guys in 5Ks, 10Ks and half marathons. So even though they put a large gap on me, and I felt really well, I didn't feel like in trouble with the pace I was doing. I think I did like 3:25 pace for the first couple of Ks, and it was quite windy as well. But I was just like, let them go. You've got 8 miles to catch these guys. That's a long time to catch them. And big believer that you have to run your own race, and you have to believe in your ability to run the times you want to run. So I let them go, and then one by one I was catching people. And normally when I catch people in a race, my instinct is just to get straight past them and push on forward and then try and catch the next guy. But I was in no rush to get past my competitors today. So I was just as soon as I'd catch up to them, I'd sit behind them and then just wait. And I just felt like I was burning all of their energy, and their energy was, they were giving me energy. It was a big rest for me, and I was allowing them to do all the work. I had never experienced it like that before. It was such a strange feeling. You know, I was working hard before I get behind them, and then as soon as I get behind them and I just relax, chill, get my breath back, let them do the work, and I just felt nice and recovered. So I'd stay with them for about 300 to 400 meters. And then as soon as I feel like, yeah, now's the time to go, I'd go, right, let's pick the next person. I'd push on, kick, and then a few minutes later then I'd be sitting behind someone else. I think it was a Mickey Morris guy, well, 2 guys I was working with at the start. I was sitting behind them, pushed on to the Mickey Morris guy. It was quite a known runner. I can't think of his name, but he's been around for years. So I was sitting behind him, and then I pushed on to a Ponty guy who was quite hard to catch. I felt like he kept accelerating every time I was getting quite close to him. But I sooner or later I was sitting behind him, and like I said, as soon as I got behind him, I was just like, relax. It's an 8-mile race. You know, you've got plenty of time to catch everyone else. Relax. So, and then it just by sitting behind that person, it gave me so much time to recover, and you know, it boost my energy back up, and then I was ready to surge again. So then I pushed on, and then I think then I caught my training partner Joe Thomas, who was another Ponty guy, and then I did the same to Joe. Sorry, Joe. Sat behind Joe. You know, got time to recover, and then I was with Joe for about 400 meters. He said he could hear me running with my alpha thighs and funny breathing before I got behind him, and then sat behind him for 400 meters, and then I was like, I had a little look at the watch, and I could see I was just coming up to 10k, and I was like, okay, once we reach 10k, that's when we got to push on and go for it. And that's what I did. Another YouTuber, the Ford runner, who beat me in Mega 10k at the start of last year. That was the 10k where I had a stitch, and I was on the side of the road. But yeah, Ford beat me. He came 3rd in that race. So Ford runner and this other Pontypridd guy, they had a huge lead on me. They were really far ahead. So after leaving my training partner Joe Thomas, I pushed on. I was like, come on now, we got to get to work. We got 3k to go, and I was pushing, and then I got really close behind the Ford runner with about a mile to go, and I've been pushing hard for like the last 3 miles anyway, you know, picking off people, and then I had a mile to go, and I thought, well, you know, bugger it, I gotta give it my all. So I was pushing, and then the time, as soon as I got right behind the Ford runner, I was like, we got to the K marker, and that's my signature move. So as soon as I get to a K marker, I'm going, heads up in the air, and I'm off. So we got to the K marker, got straight around the Ford runner, and then there was another Pontypridd guy in front. I knew I was comfortable and confident that I was going to pass this guy because he kept looking behind. So I knew he was struggling. And I knew I was going to have a good kick. I was feeling really good, really comfortable. So I knew if he wanted, even if he was able to stick with the pace I was going to have on that last K, I felt confident I was going to outkick him. So and so I did. So I pushed around him, and then to be fair to the Ford and that Pontypridd guy, they were like, "Hey, well done," as I ran past them. So that was nice of them to shout a compliment. And then there was a final Pontypridd guy just ahead of me, Sam Richards. I was trying to close the gap with him, but I felt like I didn't have quite the hunger, because in my mindset was the Ford runner and that Pontypridd guy, mainly the Ford runner. He was the final guy I wanted to pass. As soon as I got past them, that was kind of like, right, you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve today. And I've never beat Sam Richards or come close to him. So coming into the sprint finish, I feel like, you know, if I had a bit of hunger to beat him, I think I could have given him a real good run for his money on the final 400 metres. But yeah, I think he finished maybe like 5 seconds or something in front of me. Maybe it was a bit longer. Maybe I would have had the beans to beat him. But other than that, you know, an excellent run, a satisfied run, which is the most important thing. It's not many races I do where you leave feeling really satisfied, and yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed with my run, especially considering I've been ill as well. So what a top performance. I think I finished in maybe 7th position, I have to double check that, and in a time of 43 minutes and 9 seconds, so it says my watch. So pretty good performance. And that was a Liswerry 8-mile race. That's the first time I've done 8 miles. Will I do it again? I think so, because it's not a short sleeve t-shirt, it's a long sleeve t-shirt. It's the first ever time I've done a race and I've been given a long sleeve t-shirt, and it's absolutely banging. So I think I might return next year just for the t-shirt. So yeah, really good race, 10 out of 10, really enjoyed it. So many marshals out on the course, you know, no cars through the lanes. Excellent race, can't fault it. I've got nothing bad to say about it. So yeah, if you're thinking about doing this Liswerry 8-mile race next year, I definitely recommend doing it. Oh, fair play. Come on. Let's go. Push. 10 seconds. 4 minutes. 5. Heart rate 86. Bloody warm. 4 minutes. Oh, yeah.